Hello, my friends. This is Eugene and it's my EU4 historical guide. And today I would like to speak about the Cossacks. So most of you who are playing EU4 knows that Cossacks is an estate in EU4. Here is it, which is available for while you are playing some of the East European countries, such as Muscovy, Lithuania, Ryazan, Poland, if I remember correctly. So most of the East European countries, and also the Cossacks is a name of one of the DLCs for EU4, and I think not everybody knows who were the Cossacks, who they were exactly, and due to this, I'll try to answer for this question in this guide. So first of all, the Cossacks were uh, not some of the country. These were the people, and even now the different historics couldn't come to some conclusion who exactly they were. The most popular theory is that the Cossacks were the mix of different cultures, such as Tatar culture, Russian, different from the Middle Russia, the Ruthenian or the Ukraine cultures, the people from the Caucasus region, and so on, from the Romania, Moldavia, and so on. So the first chairman of the Cossacks is mentioned something like the beginning of the 13th century. During this period, the Mongol invasion happened in this part of Europe. So the Muscovy was conquered, as well as the Cumans, the steppe horse in the on the banks of the on the north banks of the Black Sea. All these territories were conquered, and due to this, the migration processes started. So people from the central Russia and from the territories between the Black and the Caspian Sea were moving into the uh, northeast territories of the Black Sea banks, somewhere here. Uh, yeah, also we were moving closer to the Caucasus Mountains. Well, and here these territories were under the rule of some countries, but most likely it's just in a formal way. People here created their own, not not it can't be called governments, but autonomies. Let's say so. And soon, in closer to the 14th and even 15th centuries, these territories were already divided by some countries. Um, most of the territories of the future Zaporozhian host, one of the most famous Cossack republics or autonomies, was under the Lithuanian and later the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth control. So the two main Cossacks hosts were, as I already said, the Zaporozhian hosts, which occupied the territory of the southwest borders of Lithuania, something like this. So these territories, and the Don Cossacks hosts. They were occupying the territories in the Azov region. As well, also there were some other Cossack hosts, but we will speak about them later. So, if the most, in my opinion, the most famous was the Zaporozhian hosts, So here they were under control of the Lithuania and later the Commonwealth, but most likely they were really independent ones. So they took part in wars on the sides of Lithuania, Russia, in the Ottomans, as well as were robbing all of them, but mostly the Ottomans, due to the Lithuania and Russia had more closer culture, and for especially Moscow, the Russian lands had the same religion, Orthodox religion, which was the main among the Cossacks here. And but closer to the 17th century, to the beginning of the 17th century, the Lithuanians were not already so pleased of the so high autonomy of the Cossacks, and were tried to set some hard control to incorporate the Cossacks into the country, and even to some terms to make them as the similar citizens. Cossacks were not so really pleased about this, and it led to several rebellions. One of them, the most hardest and the most crucial for the Commonwealth, war happened in the 1647, the Bogdan Khmelnytsky rebellion. So he were able to unite most of his Zaporozhian host, so all these territories, and declared an independence from the Lithuania. Due to this, Lithuania was allied with Russia. Yeah, it was some strange alliance, but none of the two countries were not interested in the independent country between them, who was not an ally of each one of them. As well as Ottomans, whose Crimean vassal also was in real he could have some real problems here already. That's why so the Zaporozhia was among the three great powers, and there were no seriously were no some choice for them other to decide who will we serve to, who will protect them. And the decision was made for the Russian Tsar. So in the 1667, in the Pereyaslav peace, during the Pereyaslav peace, the Bogdan Khmelnytsky decided to join the future Russian Empire, to join Russia. So the two subjects were created. The Cossacks Hetmanate took the territories here, and the Zaporozhia, the second host. They were under the protection of the Russian Tsar, but still they saved the high level of autonomy. The Hetmanate had some less privileges, but nevertheless were not ruled directly by the Russian government. Russian Tsar, what am I talking about? There were no government there. But in the nearest, in the future century, the Russian rulers tried to reduce the Cossacks' privileges. That led to several rather serious rebellions, the most famous of the Stepan Razin and Yemelyan Pugachev ones. Especially after the second one, the Pugachev rebellion, which happened in the end of the 18th century, the rebellions were defeated, and after this, both hosts, the Cossack Hetmanate and the Zaporozhian, all the privileges were taken from them, so they were just incorporated into the Hetmanate was incorporated into the Little Russia state in the inside Russian Empire, and Zaporozhye was incorporated into the new Russian state. So that this situation led to the new migration here. Most of the Cossacks who were not pleased of this situation moved into the Azov area and later into the Kuban area. So the Don Cossacks, the Don Cossack Republic, which already existed here, gained some real power, were able to expand here, and then the Black Cossacks hosts were created here, later the Kuban hosts and the Turek hosts. So soon all of them were come into the united in with Russia, with Russian Empire later. Yeah, also it's worth mentioned that there were Cossacks on the rivers on the river Volga in its middle part, somewhere here. These Cossacks later were due to the proposal of the Russian Tsar Ivan IV, they took part in the Russian conquest of Ural, the conquests, the incorporation, or it can be different terms can be used here. So they were able to join the Ural regions to Russia, and then they moved to Siberia, conquered the Siberian tribes. One of the most famous was the Yarmak expedition here, so he was able to conquer most of the Siberian tribes. They were joined to the Russian Empire, and later on moved directly to the Far East. So all we can speak of that most of the Siberia, nearly all the Siberia and the far east of today's Russia were conquered by the Cossacks. Russian Cossacks, everybody may say as he wishes. Were these people Russian people, or there were Cossacks, some independent ones, it's all up to you. So now, as you can see, most of the Cossacks, nearly all of them, were living on the borders of the Russian Empire. So the Zaporozhye and Hetman hosts, Kuban hosts, Terek hosts, Azov hosts, Cossacks of the Volga River, Ural Cossacks, and later on the Siberian, Ussuri Cossacks of the Far East. All of them were protecting the borders of the Russian Empire. Due to this, they were gained some serious privileges. They were not paying some taxes, or even most, or all of them. And but due to this, they were, if they were needed, they must be ready to join the regular armies or to lead war by themselves if it was necessary. Later on, mostly in the 18th century, Cossack forces were used by the Russian Empire in the 7 Years' War with Prussia, with multiple wars with the Ottomans, as well as with the Commonwealth, and especially one of the main impacts of them was the conquest of the Caucasus region and the Central Asia. So here the Cossacks were the main force of the Russian Empire's army. Especially Cossacks were successfully used during the Napoleon uh, conquests. Then he tried to conquer Russia in the War of 1112, 1812, 1812 year. With his grand army, he moved far into the Russian territory, even able to occupy Moscow. But as he had to, his huge army needs some serious supplies. The Cossacks were ideally used to disturb the supply lines, to destroy little French garrisons which were left behind in order to protect these lines. Uh, they were used together with the Russian light regular forces, so they were French soldiers feared them pretty much. Even Napoleon, in some of his notes, said that if he would really be glad to have the Cossacks in his army, and if he were able to do so, together with them he could even conquer the entire world. So yeah, it was a real disaster for the French army. And later on, then Napoleon had to retreat. The same Cossacks was a real nightmare for the French army. Later on, also the Cossacks were used again in the wars with the Ottomans, as already said, in the conquest of the Central Asia. Uh, and the last use by the Russian Empire was the First World War. Uh, Even in this war, the Austrian and German forces was also really feared of the Cossacks light cavalry and soldiers, Cossacks infantry. Due to this, Cossacks were not taken as prisoners, so they were fighting till the end, and they were all winning or died during the battle. Later, after the revolution happened in Russia, most of the Cossacks joined the White Army, the army who were fighting to restore either some kind of monarchy, the constitution one, or something else, who were fighting against the Lenin and his friends. Let's say so. Uh, uh, yeah, as you may already know, they will not really succeed in it. Some Cossacks were fighting in the as the troops of the Red Army, so they joined the revolution. So you know, you all know the end. So the Red Army and the future Soviet Union won here, and the Cossacks, some of them had to migrate together with the Russian nobility into the Europe, America, or somewhere else. And so the other history here is more common to the Heights of Iron already. So Cossacks were already also taking part in the Second World War, but yeah, it's far from the EU4 time period. So to say some conclusion here, Cossacks were it was some kind of, not some kind of, it was an estate mostly in the Russian Empire. It was a war estate. There were warriors who were protecting the borders of the Russian Empire, and they loved the freedom, and they were not really that, and the Russian rulers will try to reduce their privileges. So yeah, the rebellions, the most famous Russian rebellions, were led by the Cossacks. Well, I think that's all I wanted to say to you. So now I hope you have some knowledges about who were the Cossacks, why such an estate exists in EU4, uh, and I hope now you will pay more attention to it. You will use the famous Cossack cavalry to beat your enemies and to pay more attention to them in order to gain the loyalty and to increase the influence. So thanks for your attention. I hope it was interesting for you. As usual, we'll be really grateful for your likes, subscribes, and to hear you on my channel once again. Well, thanks a lot. Bye bye.